Beloved child, I am standing inside your room at this very moment. You cannot perceive me with your natural sight, but something deep within your spirit already knows. There is a heaviness in the air around you that was not there 5 minutes ago. A sacred stillness has settled over this place, and your soul recognizes it even if your mind does not. Today, Archangel Michael is speaking directly into your atmosphere, and what I am about to reveal will permanently alter your understanding of who you truly are. Do not dismiss this. Do not scroll past this moment the way you have scrolled past 1,000 others. I have been standing here, patiently, quietly, for longer than you realize. I have been present through every restless evening and every exhausting morning. I remained when the silence in your chest became so loud that you drowned it out with distractions, movement, and noise. But something shifted inside you just now. You paused. You lingered. And that tiny hesitation, that split second of openness, is the exact doorway I have been waiting for. The atmosphere around you is not what it seems. I am closer to you than the oxygen filling your lungs. Nearer than the next thought forming behind your eyes. What I uncovered when I stepped into the hidden chambers of your heart will shock you, and it will heal places you stopped believing could ever be restored. Stay with me. Do not pull away. This is far too important to rush through, and what I discovered inside you changes everything. I need you to understand what is happening around you right now. The space you are sitting in has shifted. You may look at the walls, the furniture, the light, and everything appears the same, but your spirit detects a difference that your eyes cannot confirm. There is a weight to this moment, a gravity that presses gently against your chest and whispers, "This is not ordinary. This is not random. This is holy ground." Today, I did not arrive with thunder or spectacular displays. I did not shake the foundations of your dwelling to prove my presence. That is not how I operate. When heaven draws near, the first thing that happens is the noise inside you begins to quiet. The racing thoughts decelerate. The chronic tension in your shoulders starts to release without explanation. The endless loop of worry that has been circling your mind for weeks suddenly pauses. That's not a coincidence. That is my hand upon your spirit, gently pressing the weight of eternity into your ordinary space. You have been moving so fast, dear child, rushing from one obligation to the next, filling every gap of silence with something, anything, so you would not have to confront what sits beneath the surface. I watched you do it. I observed the way you kept yourself perpetually occupied, not because you loved busyness, but because stillness frightened you. In the quiet moments, things you buried rose to the surface. Emotions you thought you had dealt with reappeared without warning. Questions you could not answer echoed through the empty spaces. So you kept moving. You kept producing noise. And I waited. I have been present in every single one of those moments you tried to avoid. The late evenings when you sat alone after everyone had fallen asleep, I was there. The mornings when you woke carrying a heaviness you could not name, I stood beside you. The afternoons when you smiled at people while your chest ached with something you could never fully articulate, I was watching, not from a distant throne, not from some unreachable height beyond the clouds. I was right here, occupying the same space, breathing the same air, closer than the person sitting nearest to you in this world. If this moment right now has touched something real inside you, if you sense this is not just another recording passing through your ears, then pause with me. Type the word Amen in the comments below. Just that one word. Let it be the first honest thing your spirit says out loud today. You stayed here, and that decision matters more than you comprehend. Most people would have moved on by now. Most would have dismissed the stirring in their chest as imagination, closed the page, and returned to the comfortable numbness of their routine. But you did not. Something engored you. Something whispered, "Not yet. Do not leave yet. There is something here you need to receive. That whisper was me. I have been gently guiding you toward this encounter for longer than you know. The moments leading up to right now were not accidents. The way your day unfolded, the specific chain of events that brought you to this exact point, none of it was random. I arranged the stillness you are experiencing. I orchestrated the pause in your thoughts. I created an opening in the walls you have built so carefully around your heart. Because today, I have something critical to share with you that cannot wait any longer. Do not be afraid of what you are feeling. The slight trembling in your spirit, the tears forming at the edges of your eyes that you cannot fully explain, the strange mixture of unease and peace that seems to contradict itself. All of that is evidence. Evidence that your spirit recognizes a presence your mind is still trying to categorize. Your soul does not need proof the way your intellect does. Your soul already knows who is standing in this room. Your soul has been waiting for this reunion just as desperately as I have. There is a warmth settling over you that has nothing to do with the temperature of your surroundings. It radiates from the place where my presence meets your awareness. That warmth is not imaginary. It is the same heat that has accompanied every sacred encounter throughout the ages. The burning that does not consume, the fire that heals instead of destroys. Today, you are standing on holy ground, and the ground did not change. I simply stepped into it with you. I know what you have been hiding, my child. I know about the mask you constructed so carefully that even the people closest to you believe it is your real face. You have become extraordinarily skilled at performing normalcy. You learned how to adjust your expression before walking into a room. You mastered the art of deflecting genuine questions with rehearsed answers. I'm good. Just tired. Everything is fine. You delivered those lines so convincingly that eventually you almost believed them yourself. But I was never fooled. Not for a single moment. I could see the fracture lines beneath the polished surface. I could hear the tremor in your voice that no one else detected. I observed the way your smile faded the instant you turned away from people. How the brightness drained from your eyes when you thought no one was watching. You carried an invisible weight that pressed down on your shoulders every single day. And you carried it alone because you convinced yourself that burdening others was a greater sin than breaking silently. Let me tell you something with absolute clarity today. Your silence was never invisible to me. Your suffering was never hidden from my sight. Every tear you swallowed before it reached your cheek, I counted. Every scream you compressed into a quiet sigh, I heard at full volume. Every prayer you started and abandoned halfway through because you did not believe anyone was listening, I received it complete. Heaven does not require you to finish a sentence. I hear the groan of your spirit before it ever forms into words. You thought your weariness was a personal failure. You believed that a truly faithful person would not feel this drained, this hollow, this close to surrender. You measured yourself against an impossible standard and concluded that you were falling short. But hear me now. Your exhaustion is not a verdict on your character. It is evidence of how much you have been carrying without reinforcement. You were never designed to shoulder all of this without heaven's partnership. And the fact that you survived this long on your own reserves tells me something about you that would astonish you if you could see it clearly. If this message is landing somewhere real inside you right now, if these words are reaching past the surface and touching the place where you actually live, then take one moment to press that like button. Not as a casual gesture. Let it be an act of agreement between your spirit and mine. A quiet declaration that says, yes, this is reaching me. Today I am being found. I saw the nights when you could not sleep. Not because your body was restless, but because your mind would not release its grip on the fears you refused to speak out loud. You lay in the darkness replaying scenarios, anticipating disasters, constructing contingency plans for catastrophes that existed only in the theater of your anxiety. You exhausted yourself, fighting enemies that had not yet materialized, and by the time morning arrived, you were already depleted before the day had even begun. I watched you navigate relationships where you gave far more than you received. I saw you become the counselor, the comforter, the steady presence that everyone else leaned on, while you had no one to lean on yourself. You absorbed other people's pain because you understood suffering intimately, and that empathy made you a magnet for the wounded. But who held you? Who noticed when your voice cracked? Who asked how you were really doing and refused to accept the rehearsed answer? I did. Every single time. I noticed. I never stopped noticing. You developed habits of concealment that became second nature. You learned to cry in the shower where water masked the sound. You mastered releasing tears while driving alone, then composing yourself before arriving. Certain music unlocked the pressure valve just enough to keep you from imploding, so you played those songs on repeat in private. Your secret decompression ritual no one knew existed. I was present for all of it. I was the unseen witness to every private unraveling. And my child, not a single one of those moments diminished you in my estimation. Not one breakdown made me think less of you. Not one sobbing session behind a locked bathroom door made me consider withdrawing my presence from your life. Each time you fell apart in secret, I drew closer. Each time the weight threatened to crush you completely, I positioned myself directly beneath the burden, bearing what you could not feel me bearing. There were seasons when your faith felt like a dead language you once spoke fluently but could no longer remember. You went through the motions because the motions were all you had left. You showed up. You mouthed the words. But inside, the connection felt severed, like calling a number that rings and rings with no answer. You wondered if the line had been disconnected. You wondered if anyone had ever been on the other end at all. I was there, through every unanswered ring, every silent ceiling, every prayer that seemed to evaporate before it cleared the roof. I was receiving every single word. The silence you interpreted as absence was actually protection. I was shielding you from answers you were not yet ready to carry. I was holding back blessings that would have overwhelmed you in the condition you were in. And I was doing the most difficult thing love can do. I was waiting for you to be ready, even when the waiting hurt both of us. You tried to stop needing me. I watched that effort with compassion, so profound it would break you if you felt its full weight. You trained yourself to function without my intervention. You developed routines and survival mechanisms that operated entirely on your own resources. For a while it worked. You kept the machinery of your life running on willpower alone. But the cost of that independence was visible to me even when it was invisible to you. I saw the slow erosion. Your laughter gradually lost its depth. Your patience shortened by fractions so small that no one noticed, but I measured every increment. Things that once brought genuine joy became obligations, then burdens, then empty rituals performed out of habit. You were not declining dramatically. You were fading incrementally. And incremental fading is the most dangerous kind because by the time you recognize it, you have already traveled a great distance from the person who felt fully alive. I stood beside you during the arguments you had with yourself, the internal debates no one could hear but that consumed enormous energy. Should I keep going or stop? Does any of this matter? Am I strong or just numb? Those questions rotated through your mind so relentlessly that some mornings you woke up already exhausted from conversations that happened entirely inside your head. You were simultaneously the accused and the judge, and the verdict was always the same, guilty of not being enough. But the verdict was wrong, every single time. And today I am here as your advocate to overturn every sentence that lying court imposed upon your spirit. I was present on the day you almost reached out to someone. You had the message typed. The words were ready. But at the last moment you deleted every word. You told yourself it would be a burden. You convinced yourself that your pain was not significant enough to warrant attention. I watched that deletion happen, and I felt the weight of every unsent word, because those words were meant for release. Holding them in only concentrated the pressure. There were seasons when sadness became so constant, it stopped feeling like sadness and started feeling like your natural state. You forgot what waking up without heaviness felt like. The baseline of your emotional life shifted so gradually that you accepted a diminished version of living as permanent reality. That acceptance concerned me most. Not your pain. I can work with pain. Not your doubt. I can navigate doubt. But acceptance of a counterfeit life as the final draft. That is the one thing I refuse to let stand. You are not meant for the version of existence you have been tolerating. That reduced, muted, survival mode life you have been enduring is not the blueprint I have for you. And today, right now, in this room, I am confronting you with that truth before we go any further. Because what I am about to reveal to you requires you to first acknowledge that the life you have been living is smaller than the one I designed for you. Now listen to me with everything you have. Today, I am going to tell you exactly what I discovered when I entered the deepest vault of your heart. This is the moment I have been building toward. This is what I crossed into your room to deliver. When I reached into the center of who you are, past the exhaustion, past the disappointment, past the layers of scar tissue that formed over old wounds, I did not find what you expected me to find. You were bracing yourself for my judgment. You were preparing to hear confirmation of every negative thing you have whispered about yourself in the mirror. You expected me to catalog your failures, point out your inconsistencies, and deliver a verdict of insufficiency. But what I found stunned me. Beneath every layer of damage, buried under years of accumulated grief, hidden behind walls you constructed from broken promises and unanswered questions, I found a flame, small, flickering, barely visible, but burning. I found belief that absolutely refused to be extinguished, not the loud performative kind that announces itself in public spaces. This was something far more powerful. This was faith forged in darkness. The kind that survives only because it is genuine. The kind that endures precisely because it was never about appearance. Your faith did not die, my child. You thought it did. You mourned it. You held a funeral for your belief and tried to bury it alongside your disappointments. But it would not stay in the grave. Every time you almost gave up completely, something stopped you. Every time you nearly sealed your heart for good, a crack of light refused to close. That was the flame I found. That was the ember I am here to breathe upon today. Hear me declare this over your life right now. Your faith survived the fire. That is the absolute truth of what I am seeing inside you. Your faith is battered. It is weary. It is covered in ash. But it is alive. And what survives the furnace is always stronger than what enters it. I need you to understand something about the nature of my patience, because you have misread it for a very long time. You interpreted my silence as disinterest. You confused my restraint with rejection. When I did not intervene the way you expected, when I did not rearrange your circumstances on your timeline, you concluded that I had either stopped caring or had never been paying attention in the first place. But my patience is not passivity. It has never been indifference. My patience is the most active form of love I possess. And I have been exercising it on your behalf for longer than you can calculate. There were so many moments when you nearly recognized me. So many instances when the veil between your awareness and my presence grew paper thin and you almost stepped through. Do you remember? There were evenings when you sat completely still and felt an unexplainable calm descend over you, like a warm blanket being laid across your shoulders. For a brief instant, you sensed that you were not alone. Something enormous and gentle occupied the space around you, and your spirit responded before your intellect could intervene. But then your mind spoke up. It told you to be rational. It called the feeling wishful thinking. It reminded you of all the times you had hoped and been disappointed. And just like that, the moment dissolved. You returned to your default setting of cautious distance. I did not blame you for pulling away. I understood exactly why you did it. Every retreat was rooted in self-preservation, and I could trace the origin of that instinct directly to specific wounds in your history. Someone made you a promise and failed to keep it. Someone spoke beautiful words over your life and then vanished when those words needed to become action. You opened your heart expecting reciprocity, and what you received instead was silence, or worse, betrayal. So you learned. You built an early warning system inside yourself that detected vulnerability before it could take root, and you shut it down with clinical efficiency. You became an expert at recognizing hope before it could fully form, and eliminating it before it could hurt you. I watched that system develop, and I grieved for you, not because you were doing something wrong, but because the protection you built to keep pain out was also keeping me out. The same walls that guarded you from further disappointment were the walls that prevented you from receiving what I had been trying to deliver. You were so focused on preventing the next wound that you could not feel the hand reaching toward you with healing, but I did not force my way through those walls. That is critical for you to understand today. I do not operate through coercion. I do not break down defenses. I do not overwhelm resistance with power. I knock. I whisper. I create small openings and wait for you to notice them. I plant moments of stillness in the middle of your chaos and hope that you will linger long enough to recognize my signature. Most of the time, you did not linger. You moved on. You filled the silence before it could speak. You dismissed the stirring before it could settle. And I waited. If you are watching this and you feel that these words are describing your journey, if this message is not bouncing off the surface, but sinking deep into territory you have never allowed anyone to access, then I invite you to subscribe to this channel today. Not as a casual click, but as a covenant with your own spirit that says you are ready to keep showing up for moments like this one. You are telling heaven that your ears are open and your heart is willing. My patience was never a countdown to abandonment. It was a vigil of devotion. I waited through every season of your numbness. I remained during every chapter of your anger. I held my position through the months when you questioned whether I existed at all. There were mornings when you woke up and felt the strangest sensation, as though someone had been watching over you through the entire night. A peculiar sense of safety that had no logical source. You shook it off. You attributed it to good sleep or favorable dreams. But that was me. I stood guard over your rest, because even in your unconscious hours, your spirit knew it was being held. There were afternoons when a thought crossed your mind that felt foreign to your usual patterns. A sudden urge to pray, even though you had stopped praying months ago. An impulse to open a scripture, even though you had convinced yourself that the words no longer applied to you. A fleeting desire to simply be still and acknowledge that something sacred was happening in the midst of your ordinary Tuesday. Those were not random neurological events. Those were my gentle nudges. Tiny openings I created in the fortress of your routine, hoping you would step through. Some of those nudges you followed. Briefly, you paused. You felt the weight of something real. And then, survival mode reactivated and the door closed again, but each pause registered. Each micro moment of openness left an impression on your spirit that accumulated over time like individual drops of water slowly filling a basin. Today, that basin is full. Today, those accumulated moments of near recognition have reached a critical mass. And that is why you are here right now in this precise encounter, receiving words that your soul has been starving for. Now I must name something that you have been avoiding, and I need you to receive it without flinching. The reason you have struggled to feel my presence consistently, the reason those moments of awareness kept dissolving before they could take permanent root, is not because I was inconsistent. It is because you built armor around the very organ I was trying to reach. Your heart developed a protective shell that formed layer by layer, wound by wound, disappointment by disappointment, until it became nearly impenetrable. Each time someone let you down, another plate of defense clicked into place. Each time a prayer seemed to go unanswered, another barrier hardened. Each time hope led to heartbreak, your internal security system upgraded its protocols. And eventually, the armor became so complete that even the things you wanted to receive, comfort, reassurance, my presence, could not penetrate it. You did not build that armor out of rebellion. You built it out of survival. And I honor the intelligence behind it. That armor kept you functional during seasons when a fully open heart would have been obliterated by the pain you were absorbing. It allowed you to keep showing up, keep performing, keep being present for the people who depended on you. But today, that same armor is suffocating the very flame I just showed you. The protection that once saved your life is now slowly starving the faith that refused to die. Let this truth reshape your spirit right now. Today, the armor comes off. Because what I am offering you in this moment requires vulnerability. It requires you to lower the shield just enough to let my hand touch the place that has been sealed off for so long. You do not have to dismantle every wall at once. I am not asking for total exposure. I am asking for a crack. One opening. One conscious decision to stop filtering my presence through layers of skepticism and self-protection. Give me that crack, and I will pour through it like water finding its way through stone. My child, you have been waging wars that no one in your life can see. Battles with no visible scars, no public acknowledgement, no medals of recognition. The conflicts that have consumed the most energy from your spirit were never fought on open ground. They took place in locked rooms, in the 3 o'clock darkness of sleepless nights, in the theater of your own thoughts where the enemy replayed your worst moments on an endless loop. I witnessed you battle anxiety with nothing but willpower and silence. I saw fear wrap itself around your ribcage until drawing a full breath became a deliberate act of discipline. The panic that surged without warning. Your heart accelerating, your thoughts spiraling into catastrophe while you maintained a perfectly calm exterior. You became a master of invisible warfare, fighting on the inside while performing peace on the outside. And that dual existence was slowly grinding you to powder. I saw you absorb the emotions of everyone around you because your capacity for empathy runs deeper than most people will ever understand. You became the person everyone called when they were breaking apart. The one who always answered. The one who always showed up. The one who could find the right words even when your own vocabulary for self-comfort had long since been exhausted. You poured into others from a reservoir that was critically low, and no one thought to ask if that reservoir needed replenishing. But I noticed the precise moment each day when your energy shifted from genuine to manufactured. I watched you toggle between 2 versions of yourself. The version that served everyone else, and the version that existed only in private, depleted and raw. You believed you had to choose one or the other. You thought that admitting your emptiness would disqualify you from being useful. So you kept giving from deficit. You kept producing strength you did not possess. And I held you upright through every moment of it, even when you did not realize you were being supported. If something inside you is responding to these words right now, if your chest feels tight or your eyes are burning with recognition, then I want you to know that what you are feeling is not weakness. It is awakening. It is the sound of truth reaching a place that has been sealed in silence for far too long. Share this message today with someone who carries the same invisible weight. Think of at least 3 people in your life who cry when no one is watching, who smile through exhaustion, who have been strong for so long that everyone forgot they are human. Send this to them right now, through your Facebook group, through a direct text message, through your church prayer chain. This message was not meant for you alone. It was meant to travel through you and reach the ones you already know need to hear it. The self-doubt was relentless. I observed the way you interrogated your own worth on a daily basis. You compared your internal chaos to everyone else's external composure and concluded that you were uniquely deficient. You replayed conversations, searching for evidence that you had said the wrong thing. You lay awake cataloging your inadequacies with a precision you never applied to your strengths. You held yourself to standards you would never impose on another human being, and when you inevitably fell short of those impossible benchmarks, you punished yourself with a severity that broke my heart. That internal monologue tearing you apart piece by piece. The voice whispering you are too much and never enough, too emotional, too sensitive, not strong enough, not faithful enough. That voice was never mine. Not a single syllable originated from heaven. Every condemning word was a counterfeit designed to keep you small, and convinced that my presence in your life was accidental. But I'm still here. And what I see when I look at you is so dramatically different from what that lying voice has been telling you that the contrast should take your breath away. Today, Archangel Michael is standing in your room, in your presence, and I am telling you with the full authority of heaven, that voice is a liar. And its reign over your self-perception ends right here, right now, in this room, in this moment. Today is the day you stop agreeing with the destruction. Today is the day you cease partnering with the narrative that has been dismantling you from within. I am issuing you a charge, beloved, and I need you to receive it with every fiber of your being. You have spent years believing that endurance means suffering in silence. You have equated strength with the absence of need. You convinced yourself that asking for help was a form of failure, that admitting pain was a luxury you could not afford, that vulnerability was a door you dared not open, because the last time you opened it, something terrible walked through. But I am rewriting that definition today. True strength is not the absence of collapse. It is the willingness to fall apart in the presence of someone who can put you back together. And I, Archangel Michael, am standing in your room at this very moment with hands capable of restoration beyond anything you have imagined. I am not asking you to pretend anymore. I am asking you to let go, release the grip. Drop the facade that has consumed more energy than the problems it was designed to hide. Today, you are given permission to be exactly as broken, as tired, and as frightened as you actually are. Without losing a single ounce of your value in my eyes, your worth was never contingent on your performance. You could fall apart completely in this moment and I would still be standing here, unmoved. Because my love for you was never a response to your strength. It was always a response to your existence. Let this truth penetrate every lie you have believed about your own worth. You are worthy of being held. That is the charge I am issuing over your life today. You are not merely permitted to receive care. You are commanded to stop refusing it. Now I need you to see something that you have overlooked for so long that it has become invisible to you. There was a thread. A single, almost imperceptible thread that ran through every dark season you endured, every hopeless night you survived, every moment when surrender seemed not just reasonable, but inevitable. That thread is the reason you did not collapse entirely. It is the reason your spirit kept drawing breath even when your will to continue had been spent. It is the reason you are here, in this room, receiving these words, instead of somewhere far from my reach. That thread was your faith, not the kind celebrated in public gatherings, not the polished, presentable version that performs well under observation. This was something rawer and more powerful than that. This was bedrock faith. the kind that exists below the surface of feelings, below the reach of doubt, below the lowest point your emotions have ever descended. It operated independent of your awareness. It functioned without your permission. On the nights when you declared with absolute conviction that you had nothing left, that thread held. It held when you were not watching. It held when you were actively trying to sever it. It held when you told yourself and anyone who would listen that your believing days were finished. Do you understand the magnitude of that? You possess something inside you that survived conditions designed to annihilate it. Your faith endured abandonment. It persisted through betrayal. It remained intact through seasons of unanswered prayers, unexplained losses, and unbearable silence. The very thing you mourned as dead was quietly sustaining your existence from a place so deep within you that your conscious mind could not access it. What you called barely surviving, I call extraordinary endurance. What you dismissed as going through the motions, I recognize as the highest form of faithfulness, showing up when inspiration has vanished, continuing when the reward is invisible, placing one foot in front of the other when every rational argument says to stop. That is not weakness, my child. That is a testament to something indestructible living inside you. It all mattered. Every single day you kept going mattered. And today, I am here to make sure you finally know it. Hear the decree of Archangel Michael over your life. I speak with the full authority of heaven, and no force in existence can reverse what I am about to pronounce. You, the one sitting in this room, the one who wondered if heaven even remembered your name. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not an afterthought in the divine arrangement of the universe. You are central to a purpose that extends far beyond the boundaries of your current comprehension. The pain that tried to define you has failed. The exhaustion that tried to terminate your journey has lost. The doubt that tried to convince you that your faith was extinct has been proven a liar by the very flame I discovered still burning in the vault of your heart. Today, I decree that the season of invisible suffering is over. Not because the challenges will vanish overnight, but because from this moment forward, you will never again face them believing you are alone. I am in your room. I have been in your room, and I am not leaving. The awareness you are experiencing right now is not temporary. This is the beginning of a permanent shift in how you perceive my presence. The veil that kept you from recognizing me has been torn, not by your effort, but by the accumulated weight of every almost moment finally reaching critical mass. I decree restoration over every area that has been depleted, strength to replace exhaustion, clarity to replace confusion, purpose to replace aimlessness, and a peace, a deep, foundational, unshakable peace that will guard your heart against the returning voices of condemnation. You will not go back to the way things were. You cannot go back because the person sitting in this room right now is not the same person who arrived. Something has been permanently altered. Something has been irreversibly awakened. And what heaven awakens, nothing in this world has the authority to put back to sleep. This is a decree spoken from the mouth of Archangel Michael, directly into the atmosphere of your dwelling place, and it carries the force of eternal law. Let every shadow that occupied this space hear me clearly. Your tenancy has been revoked. This room belongs to the Most High. This heart belongs to heaven. And this child. This beloved, battle-scarred, enduring, faithful child belongs to me. Today, you receive the truth that heaven has been trying to deliver to you through every almost moment, every quiet stirring, every unexplained peace that settled over you when you least expected it. Archangel Michael entered your room, looked past every wall you constructed, and found a flame of faith still burning inside you that refused to be extinguished. That flame is your inheritance. Guard it fiercely. Feed it intentionally. And never again allow the voice of condemnation to convince you it does not exist. I bless your rest tonight. I bless the thoughts that will visit you when your head touches the pillow. I bless the dreams that will carry you through the hours of darkness. And I bless the morning that awaits you, a morning where you will rise knowing that you are accompanied, that you are valued, and that the thread of faith inside you is stronger than every force that has ever tried to sever it. Now carry this message forward. Share this video today with at least 2 people who need to hear that heaven has not forgotten them. Through your WhatsApp group, your church community, a direct text to someone carrying their burden in silence. You have the power to extend what you received into someone else's darkest room. Beloved, if this message has moved something permanent inside you today, if Archangel Michael's words have reached a place that other voices could not, then I invite you to become part of what heaven is building through this work. By visiting our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you can support this mission through a donation or by joining our membership. Whether you buy a coffee, give an offering, or become a member, every act of generosity plants a seed of light in someone else's darkness. Your support allows these messages to reach souls who are still sitting alone in rooms they believe heaven has abandoned. Subscribe to this channel today so that the next time Archangel Michael speaks, you will be present to receive it. Do not let this be the last encounter. Make a decision right now that your spirit will remain open, your ears attentive, and your heart positioned to receive every word heaven has prepared for the days ahead. And now, let us pray. Heavenly Father, wrap your arms around this precious child who has remained in your presence through every word spoken today. Seal what has been decreed over their life. Let the flame that was found inside them grow into an unquenchable fire that illuminates every dark corridor they will ever walk through again. Protect their peace tonight. Guard their faith through the coming week, and remind them, every single morning, that they were never, ever alone. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen.